Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and a good morning to you. It is, the hell is it? August 29. Jeez. And it's a Tuesday. I have any more pregnant pauses here. My God. And that means,
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I wasn't sure because I know you've been like here and there and traveling.
Well, believe me, I wasn't sure either. I got to my daughter's house last night at about 8:00 and had a heartwarming welcome with my dog and put him in the car and got back to my place in the city and did all of that so that I could get up this morning and do this, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do it if I had stayed at her house. So
why's that?
Just too much going on. Wouldn't have worked.
Oh, it wouldn't have. I see. Okay. Well, thank you for all that, coming and going and hither and yawning and.
And the two of us will be back in Wisconsin then.
Are you heading back today?
I said
today or tomorrow, and you said yeah.
No, today.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you're a good woman, Suze.
I have somehow managed to make myself a busy life, and I don't know how that happened.
It's a very busy life, and I hope you had a good.
Oh yeah, and not much to say bad about Santa Fe, New Mexico, I must say.
Okay.
Highly recommended. Great food.
Okay. All right. Now we got to stop and head into the greater world. And, my God. So I'm going to assume that you are not necessarily up on stuff. I am going to, let's just take this slowly.
Okay.
Okay. Did you, you by virtue of being younger, I know you always watched more TV than me. I mean, first of all, there was a TV in the house pretty much from the time you were,
Yeah, 3 or 4, right.
Right. And we were slow adopters. I don't know if so I never got that into it as much. But I'm wondering if you could, if you know who, I'm just asking, this is a character in a sitcom from the 70s, Helen Roper.
Oh, yeah. Helen Roper was the wife of the landlord in Three's Company, I think.
Oh, for God's sake, you do know.
And I didn't even watch that show.
Well, how the hell do you know
Because they talked about it all the time and wrote about it. That was Susan Summers, and I didn't like any of it, but I know who everybody was.
Yeah, but, okay, so, yeah, but...
No, my head is just cluttered.
The wife of the...
My head is cluttered. My head is cluttered with useless information like Helen Roper, but I can't remember other very major things that happened to me.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I asked this is riot that you know it, because there was this big article about something now called a Roper romp. It's a thing. And it's a Roper romp is like an excuse for a party. And they're held, I guess, all over the place. The one that is that they focus on this is one in Providence, Rhode Island. And everybody who comes to the party dresses as Mrs. Roper. Do you know what she looked like?
I can't really no. If you ask me to summon her up, no. I do come up with an apron and sort of brown hair in a 50s style around her head, but I don't know if that's right.
No, I don't know that that's right either, because most of the women and men get into this too, that I'm looking at, are wearing like reddish brown, really curly haired wigs. And
yeah, okay. Like no, but that is what I was seeing. I was seeing a brownish hair around the face. Yeah, that's what I was seeing. Okay.
Okay, and she's wearing like big caftans, very sort of like wild.
Okay, okay,
all right. It turns out that there are women and gay men mostly. This is the group that is just adore this character. And my understanding is that she says, well, it says in this article, she was a progressive pole star, free-thinking and voluptuary, poo-pooed her husband's anti-gay slights, and it was definitely sexual. And when the show was on, I don't know that it was only after the show was gone that people it's so odd how these things happen. I mean, how one character, seemingly not a major character, gets plucked and people just gravitate. So it's something, she's a cult figure today. The actress who played her is now dead, so she's not able to enjoy this. Anyway, they say that she was like almost like a drag queen and a mother protector, and that was always needling her husband, which was a takedown of the patriarchy. Her undermining of masculine power is very funny and pleasurable to women and gay men, and that's who.
Well, maybe that is why I remember her. I don't know why. I mean, I don't remember that about her, but I remember her.
So whatever. It was a big story in Sunday's New York Times, recalling Roper and celebrating her wild spirit, and all these happy older people, middle-aged people, dressed bizarrely and with these wigs, and they're having a hell of a time. Okay.
Well, but what are they doing having a hell of a time? Taking down the patriarchy?
They're partying.
Okay.
They have, I don't know, they don't talk about what goes on at the party. It says dozens of loud redheads nursing cocktails and such a cheap.
Sounds like the chief thing this should be that they're making fun of hetero men.
A lot of it is, yes. And she said the character was like your crazy if your crazy grandmother had a couple of cocktails in the afternoon.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like me and my friends going out for lunch.
So most of the people who are into this are in their 50s.
And that's when I went out to lunch with my friends, exactly.
Okay. And they say that, a lot of this happens at, gay events. One guy said, this is wonderful because he often dresses as Richard Simmons for some reason, and he uses the same wig to do her because I can see where.
Okay, I would never want to dress like Richard Simmons.
No. He wants, I can't quite, it's one of those memories that sort of blurs that happened at WTAE, what happened, I don't know, in the radio floor, and I was getting a drink from the bubbler, the water fountain or something, and Richard Simmons comes up, and I don't know, he was so bizarre. I think he was on my show. I think I must have interviewed him. That must have been it. I can't remember. Anyway, so one more thing before that, because I also saw some video that made me laugh.
Only you would not remember whether you ever interviewed Richard Simmons.
Well, right.
But no, that's like, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, I must have. I don't know why else he was there. Because it was, I remember where it was. It was a hallway outside the radio studio and Richard Simmons. And so, yeah, probably be in the 80s. I don't know. I know that something creeped me out. Anyway, Seinfeld. A lot of people, now that's another show I didn't watch.
I didn't watch it either.
Well,
I did not.
I have since seen some because my son sometimes watches it, and some of it is very, I get it. It's very funny. By the way,
some of it is funny, and again, it's another show that, of course, I know almost all the characters and who played them.
Yeah. And I did interview, I do remember this, the Soup Nazi.
Oh, yeah, of course. I remember that, too.
What? Me interviewing the Soup Nazi?
I do, for some reason.
Why is that?
I don't know.
He and I were judges of a best hamburger in Pittsburgh contest that was down at then Three Rivers Stadium.
Oh, well, that I don't remember.
Okay, well, he was a piece of work. Wait. So anyway, Elaine is the character I'm talking about.
Yes.
Played by the great...
What's her name?
Oh, come on. She's marvelous.
I know. She's Veep. I mean, I know exactly who she I can't tell you her name. You see, this is my brain.
Well, not my brain anyway. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Dreyfus. Thank you. Thanks for helping out the old ladies. And
that assist goes to Kevin, our producer, who whispered in our ear. Julie, Louis, is it Louis? I think you don't pronounce the S. Anyway, she's marvelous. Anyway, I saw a video of an Elaine dance contest.
Oh, well, that's famous.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
What a riot.
No, her bad dance is a one of those famous comedy moments.
Well, it escaped me until I saw this video, and the women who were doing it, they were hysterical, and I can see her obviously doing it. So yeah. So that was all of a piece. These things that happen as a result of sitcoms, which I never watched. So
wait a minute. Go back to the immediately previous thought. Are you telling me that people now have parties where women dance badly on purpose? Or are you telling me that women now have parties for people that are bad dancers and everybody enjoys it? Or are you telling me?
I'm telling you, I have no idea. It was a contest. It was not a party.
Who could dance as badly as Elaine and think they were wonderful? Because that's part of it. The attitude of yes, of thinking that you're great while you're doing this. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. And sticking with popular culture for a little bit. I watch Turner Classic Movies ad nauseum.
Yes, I even did in Santa Fe, and we accidentally turned on the Maltese Falcon the other night. Wow.
Yeah. Good one, huh?
Yeah.
Actually, Sidney Greenstreet has been in so many movies I've watched recently, as has Peter Lorre, as has Humphrey Bogart, the entire cast. And Ronald Reagan has been in 2 movies I've seen in the last 48 hours. And in one, I really thought he was good. I was shocked. The other, I thought he was horrible. But the one, he was really good. And he played a guy, a hail fellow, well-met, happy guy who ends up losing both his legs. I mean, which requires some acting. Right?
Yeah, you have to act like you don't have legs.
Well, and to come to terms with it. I thought he was really pretty good, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I saw this stupid, one of those, actually came out in 1960. This is a movie starring, Doris Day. Yes, Doris Day, who you have told us you never got. Doris Day and Ronald Reagan were in a movie together. In which he played Grover Cleveland. The guy was a pitcher. His name was Grover Cleveland something.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. And he was really a pitcher. And Doris Day was and Ronald Reagan was absolutely horrible in that, I thought. But Forbes Field showed up in it. I mean, there's a picture of Forbes Field, and according to this, some big thing happened to him at Forbes Field where he had a seizure and went down on the mound. And so I started Googling, oh my God, well, of course that didn't happen at Forbes Field. I thought, it's a Hollywood movie. This is not history. And so I did look up this picture, and it was totally, they totally sanitized his life.
Well, of course they did.
Well, he had been a drunk, and they made it seem as if he simply had epileptic seizures, and people thought he was drunk. I mean, it was so bizarre. Anyway, whatever. That's not the point. The movie I wanted to talk about stars David Niven and Doris Day. I
love David Niven. I have always loved David Niven.
So, yes. What is that?
Urbane.
Okay, urbane. That will do. He's so urbane. It's called Please Don't Eat the Daisies.
I remember that movie, sort of, yes.
Well, here's what I don't need to go into it, but there was a little scene that I found interesting from a cultural point of view. I forget exactly what was happening, but there was David Niven and Doris Day and their child, and there was a woman who clearly was a lesbian, who was dressed very masculinely and real short hair, just did not look in any way like Doris Day or a woman in the 50s in America looked like. And the kid says, "Are you a lady or a man?" And that, I thought, oh my God, because I say that because I find myself asking the same question to myself a lot these days, right?
Well, of course, but that's like the old Saturday Night Live sketch of Pat. Who was Pat?
No, I don't.
Well, you couldn't tell whether Pat was a man or a woman, and that was the running joke.
Okay. So the kid says, looking at this woman, "Are you a lady or a man?" And David Niven, I think it was, admonishes the kid, says, "Tyson, you don't ask questions." And the woman, the lesbian person, says to him, No, that's okay. No, she says, "Are you a lady or a man?" David Niven says, "Hey, stop. And the woman says, I'm something in between. I'm a veterinarian.
I'm a veterinarian? Okay, that makes absolutely no sense.
But she was. She was a veterinarian. But, so that's how she handled that question. I'm something in between, and then she said, I'm a veterinarian. So she dodges the question. But I thought it was interesting that there in a movie that came out in 1960, there was at least the audience would have laughed at that and would have had to have understood that she was a lesbian, right?
Right.
Right. I don't know. We sometimes act as if, what's happening now with questions
is new somehow.
What are you? Is new. And it's always been, obviously it's much more out in the open, which is what some people can't, a lot of things are out in the open. And, like our racism.
Yeah, we do not require people to lie anymore. Isn't that awful?
Well, but see, from my point of view, I liked it better when the racists were undercover. But I guess that's not, it felt some compunction to, not.
Well, yeah, but okay. Well, I liked it when we didn't have to deal with those people either. But we aren't talking about racists. We're talking about.
No. But I am. I'm talking about the fact that we don't. It depends. We don't. Different people are made uncomfortable by different other people being open about who they are. Right?
That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just in that regard, it's the same kind of thing. But, whoa, I just loved it. Are you a lady or a man?
I'm a veterinarian. Well, of course.
And what I find in myself when I'm staring at somebody and thinking, are you a lady or a man? I at least now say to myself, they're a human being.
They're a human. Who cares?
Yeah. That's what I now say to myself. But it took me a while to get there because at first I was uncomfortable. And it takes a while for people to get there.
Or
right?
Maybe you're simply seeing and they are presenting their own honest ambiguity.
True. They are who they are.
They are who they are. That's just them.
And they're not conforming to this traditional view of presenting as one or the other. And it can muck people's heads up. And it's mucked up plenty of people's heads. The entire Republican Party has gone stark raving mad. I saw somebody say, my God, imagine if Republicans reacted with the same intensity to school shootings.
Imagine.
As they do to, drag.
Imagine, or climate change. Imagine how much we could get done to real problems.
Just imagine. It's mind-blowing. God.
Instead, they're banning Romeo and Juliet.
Yes. Oui, of course. Okay, what else I got? Okay, so you have to admit I'm starting, easy, right?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah, for you, Suze. I hope those of you who are listening are okay with it.
Yeah, they might be dying, but we're having a nice little easy chat.
There's a lot of, my God, I can see the future, and it's almost like a crash course in American law and how the court systems work. We're all getting such an education, having to follow all these damn, hearings and trials and arguments here, that this is our future. And when I think to what 2024 is going to be, if in fact, Donald Trump is running for president and is the defendant in 3 or 4 ongoing trials that are happening. I can't begin to imagine. I cannot begin to imagine.
But I'm perfect. I'm waiting with great anticipation.
Well, I kind of, sort of, I don't know. But it is. It's good to see justice finally.
Yes, it is
getting done. I saw that the judge setting his January 6th, the Jack Smith case, on March 2nd, that Trump's people said that they will appeal that. You can't appeal the setting of a court date. Who do you appeal that to?
Well,
you appeal judgments. You appeal that. What? I mean, no, I'm serious. Have you ever heard of who do you appeal that to?
Well,
the federal judge. That's a trial date.
Right. I don't know who you appeal that to other than the judge himself to say, would you reconsider a later date?
Exactly right.
To which the judge says no.
Says no.
Yeah.
But this is their MO for so long that anything the judge says.
Yeah. Why do you expect their arguments to make sense? They're all specious.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, I don't even think about it. Whatever it is, they'll say it, and they'll make people think that they have a right to it, even if it doesn't make sense. This is the old legal trick called, when did you stop beating your wife?
God, it's just, I got here. Oh, I like this one. I came upon this. This is someone wrote a piece, opinion piece. And it's about doing away with your bucket list. First of all,
I saw that headline and it made me smile. There is, I didn't read it, but there's nothing that I consider more stupid than bucket list.
Okay, here's the headline Susan saw. Why you should swap your bucket list with a chuck it list. And of course, it made me smile too. Because
why should I make myself feel bad that I haven't jumped out of a fucking airplane when I don't want to jump out of a effing airplane because my better instincts say that's a stupid thing to do. I just chuck that right off my bucket list, for crying out loud, instead of feeling guilty about not doing stuff I didn't want to do in the first place, or I would have done it.
Well, I think, but if we say that most people, if they have one, I sure as hell don't. If you had a bucket list, it would be things you do want to do. Geez, I'd like to jump out of an airplane someday. Geez, I'd like to go to whatever. Now, the odds of you doing a lot of these things are not great. It's just all aspirational stuff, right?
Right.
But I think for some people, as they age and they're thinking of their bucket list and they're seeing that they haven't been checking many things off it, they feel somehow like they failed.
Right. They start judging themselves and feel guilty about
bullshit. Like they haven't done these things that often you decide to do when you're younger or when you're a slightly different person because, as you age. But first of all, the woman who wrote it, she got this from her own father, who had always said he wanted to learn Spanish fluently. And then when he turned 75, he said, fuck it. That's really what he said. She couldn't use it in the Washington Post. It's replace your bucket list with a fuck it list.
Right.
Right. Same kind of thing. He said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to learn to play the piano. I'm not going to learn this. I'm not going to do that. And then it just frees you up. Why do people put pressure on themselves?
Well, it's like creating a construct that when life doesn't, throw you stress and challenges, you miss it in your life. So you create it for yourself. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. admit that if it was something that you could do and would do, you would have done it in most cases.
Well, if you could. I mean, sometimes it's a matter of money or physical ability or time and or changing interests, whatever. I don't know. But I really, yeah.
You know, I'd like to, on my bucket list would be able to do a vault like Simone Biles. It ain't ever going to happen, and I'm not going to kill myself trying.
Yeah, but that's sort of, I mean, that's.
No, but that's the sort of things that would be on my bucket list. Things that I could never do because I don't have that talent.
Yeah, but to be on your bucket list, it has to be something you could do.
No.
I think that's what I think of as a bucket list.
Well, I know, but I mean,
require a lot of, you know, like this guy decided he didn't want to bother himself trying to learn Spanish as well as he had wanted to. You know, of course, you're not going to. Even professional gymnasts can't do what she does.
No. But do you understand? That's what I'm saying. I mean, those are the kinds of things that would be aspirational for me, not I need to get to Iceland before I die, you know, for example, which is, of course, something that if you have the time and the money and the ability, one could do, but never get around to, perhaps. I could see that being a bucket list item, but I just don't know. I don't care about that sort of stuff.
I'm not a planner. I mean, I am not. The reason I don't have a bucket list is I have never been somebody who's had
plans.
A goal.
right. But I think I'm the same way. I find living in day to day and in the moment enough of a challenge that I'm not one who loves necessarily travel. You know, and I can see a lot of people's bucket list would be to visit places, to see things, and I completely understand that. But you know what it is for me about those sorts of things that I've gone places, I've done things, I've found them absolutely beautiful. And, you know, but I've never gotten to some place, there's places I go back to because I enjoy them so much, but there's nothing anywhere that is so compelling to me that it places that kind of pull on my life. I mean, that's not what makes my life important to me.
Well, but I think a lot of people do are wired differently, and they need challenges. I mean, they love. They
need different kinds of stimulus than we.
That's right. I'm in that regard. I'm not.
We extroverted introverts.
Right. I'll just sit here and see what comes my way.
That's right.
But a lot of people are more go-getters. I mean, I even remember, you know, when I was young, I was really young, like in a teenager type. I was just terrified by the prospect that I was supposed to know what I wanted to do.
Well, that's because that was a ridiculous proposition that children are supposed to know how they want to spend their adult lives.
Well, it is, but you had to. I mean, if you go to college, you're supposed to pick a major, and there's a sense of sort of sticking yourself in a place and having to. And I never had a clue.
And there were always those kids that were there because they wanted to be a doctor, and they knew. Yeah,
from the time they were 3. I mean, and I was always envious of those people because to want something like that and then to just go doggedly toward it, that'd be wonderful. And then to get it, to achieve it, and to find it as wondrous as you thought. I don't know, but my sense is that most people don't live their lives on that kind of straight trajectory. as the bumper sticker says, shit happens.
Right.
I don't know.
And frankly, I'm always quite proud of myself for simply sticking one foot in front of the other and keeping going.
Yeah.
Which is no given for anybody. And to try and do it with some pleasure and wisdom on top of it is damn difficult.
Mm-hmm. Whatever. We're all different. I mean, thank God we're all different.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The people and that's another thing. Thank God I'm pretty okay with people being different. I will look in horror and or astonishment and or amazement at others, but I can't imagine if we were all pretty much the same. I mean, God, what a dull.
Well, we make movies about it. It's called The Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
No.
There are people though who like that, who want the
right, who are comforted by that.
I understand that, and again, we're wired differently.
So I'm just going to say, all you people that wish for authoritarianism and fascism, you can go someplace and let someone tell you what to do, but leave the rest of us alone.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Go find your fascist little country. That's fine.
My God. So, okay, we'll get into a little bit of news, okay?
Okay.
I don't understand this, Susan. Maybe you could help me. I read this. Oh, fuck you. Excuse me. Sorry.
I'm sorry, whatever it is I seem to have done.
It wasn't you. It was not directed to you.
I know that, but
there's more than one way to skin this cat. I'll go somewhere else where they'll let me see it.
Oh, you're talking to your computer. Yeah, I got it.
Of course, anytime I say "fuck you," the odds are I'm talking to a
machine
object that is driving me insane. Okay, here I got it now. Okay, environmental groups are calling on state regulators here in Pennsylvania to deny a request from a crypto mining company to burn tires as fuel for its operations. Okay, I have a number of questions. First of all, crypto mining.
I'm not going to explain. I'm not going to explain that to you because I refuse to go down that rabbit hole, and I think that recent events have proven that it's a pretty stupid rabbit hole.
Well, it doesn't stop, but they keep coming. She said,
but here's what I do know. They require an incredible amount of computers. Which burn an incredible amount of energy. And I don't know how they're going to make the energy out of burning tires, but apparently that's what they're doing. And that's what that's about.
Well, when you hear the word mining, and by the way, this is all...
To me, that sounds like they're trying to steal someone else's crypto, by the way.
Well, listen, all I wanted to say is crypto mining company. It says that some of these companies have taken over waste coal plants. Now, that's when I think of mining, I think of coal. I don't think of computers to power their energy-intensive process of making cryptocurrency. So, can anyone help us here? What the F is cryptocurrency? Anything you can ever hold in your hand?
No.
So it doesn't require a mineral of some sort to create one of these coins? No. Right?
Right.
What are they needing to burn? Why would you go into the middle of Carbon County, Pennsylvania, and burn tires That's not the. That's.
I'm not. I can't even begin to explain it. I just know that it requires such incredible amount of computer stuff, which burns such an incredible amount of electricity, apparently. But no, I don't understand any of it. I think that's purposeful, and therefore I have decided that that's not part of my world, and nothing that I have anything to do with is going to go there.
Okay. But again, this is when you're living in. I'm uncomfortable living in a world that increasingly I literally do not comprehend. So here's just another quote from this article. Because this company uses the electricity it produces to generate cryptocurrency rather than selling that electricity to the energy grid, the plant should be re-permitted as a solid waste incinerator that would be subject to increased air pollution monitoring requirements. You know what? Help. I'm just saying to my audience.
Well, listen, what I'm saying is, what I'm getting out of that article is someone's trying to regulate them and stop them from polluting, which sounds appropriate to me.
Well, that's right. That's right. This whole thing is environmental groups are freaking out about this. But I am going to remind people that you can take part in this discussion, and listening to two old
crazy broads that don't know what they're talking about is not
somebody
a given.
Who knows a little bit more. Would you give us a call, for Christ's sake? Yeah. The number is 412-200-5686.
Oh, holy hell, we're going to get a lesson in cryptocurrency now?
Well, I know. I mean, but what is the pleasure in listening to us? Or you could send me a quick little whatever at lynncullenshow@gmail.com. Just saying.
Or we could change the subject. You know, there's that. But it's your show. Okay.
No, I'm going to. But
okay.
I don't know.
No, the crypto stuff drives me nuts, and I have honestly no interest in trying to figure it out. I'm just going to shun it, avoid it, and keep it out of my life.
I once tried to read a very long article that was supposed to explain to people like you and me what it was.
I remember you telling me you were going to read that, and I found it amusing.
Yeah, I didn't finish it.
Of course not.
Okay, so other news today, 3M, that huge company.
They make Scotch tape.
They make so much crap you cannot begin to it. So they made earplugs that they sold to the Pentagon.
Oh yeah, bad ones.
And and in fact they didn't do the job. And there are just tons and tons and tons of American veterans who have hearing loss, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Tinnitus. As a result. And finally, so there was a case against 3M, and they have agreed to pay $6 billion to resolve the hundreds of thousands of claims of injury just from veterans, from using their bullshit
earplugs.
Whatever.
That did nothing. But how can you do that? I just don't even get how that happens.
Well, listen to this. $6 billion
divided by
later. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Actually, each person's going to get, like, if they're lucky,
$42.50.
No, 10,000 maybe.
Okay.
Big deal for losing your hearing. Okay, so that's what 3M agreed to this month. In June, 3M agreed to pay $10.5 billion to fund public water suppliers because of the PFAS, the forever chemicals, that they have put in
our water.
Yeah. And you know what? So $10.5 billion, $16.5 billion in fines in a 4-month period.
Gee, pretty soon they'll equal Wells Fargo.
But listen to this. The next sentence. 3M stock jumped 5.2% Monday after news of the potential settlement surfaced.
Right, because now they know the extent of the damage.
Oh, fine. So it's good for business.
Yeah. Oh, big deal. So we can absorb $6 billion. Yeah.
16 billion.
16 billion.
So if 16 billion is something you can absorb for poisoning the water and for making people deaf, something's wrong.
That's right.
Something is really wrong.
Well, what's wrong is that tort law isn't forcing these companies to do anything differently. I mean, the whole idea of tort law was to make the judgments draconian enough that no one would ever do that again.
Right. And so clearly, that ain't working.
No, I think we have to start throwing people that make these decisions in jail.
Yeah, that would help.
There should not be such a thing when it causes actual damage to people and our future. There shouldn't be white collar crime.
That's right. There shouldn't be white collar crime. There's crime, and if people that make a lot of money and wear white collars
just have to pay to get out, to get their out of jail card,
kill people, they should do time just like any poor schmo who gets in a fight and accidentally kills somebody and ends up doing life.
And again, it shouldn't necessarily be Martha Stewart.
Well, yeah, right. She's okay. Don't worry.
She's fine. You know why she's fine? Because she's a smart cookie and she used it and she took her medicine. And now she's friends with Snoop Dogg. Talk about planning your life.
Yeah, well. Snoop
pieces
Dogg
of work
everywhere. Whoever, I mean, they're just, man. I mean, there's certain people that just sort of become ubiquitous. He is.
Well, he's sort of amazing because I can remember probably 20 years ago when I, as you said, I had a TV on someplace in the house and it was one of those court shows, People's Court or something, and Snoop Dogg was a plaintiff. And I remember thinking, boy, he's really still trying to keep his name out there because he was already sort of washed up.
Well, guess not.
Well, I think it's very interesting what he's done.
Yeah. No,
I really do.
Anytime people remake, reconfigure, come back like that.
And polish up and burnish and totally, make people see him as a three-dimensional character when they might not otherwise. I think he's done a rather magnificent job of his career.
And smoking dope the whole time.
And openly smoking dope the whole time. It was part of his signature, yeah.
So I just want to point out and credit the Joe Biden administration.
Yes.
For yet another, I mean, he is doing stuff while everybody talks about he's too old. He's too old.
I mean, how long have we been screaming, why can't we negotiate for drug prices like everybody else in the world?
That is correct. And that's what Susan knew exactly what I was talking about. So they've already released the list of 10 extremely expensive drugs that now the government will negotiate with pharmaceutical companies so that Medicare will end up saving, talk about billions and billions of dollars
because they can't hold you up for your insulin. I mean, these things happen because of the most absurd overstepping by corporate America. The price of insulin had never even been an issue until a few years ago, when they just cynically raised it out of availability for people that would die without it.
That's right. Greed. Greed kills. So the thing is, they're hoping to save $25 billion a year. And the people, you imagine some old fart who's being helped by all this stuff that Biden is doing. They're getting broadband for the first time. They're getting maybe a job for the first time. They're getting their drug costs brought down, and they don't think he's doing a good job.
Well, they won't see this till 2026, so they aren't feeling it yet.
They don't pay attention ever.
Right? No, they need to pay attention. They
won't see it if they elect a Republican, because they won't see it then in 2026. It won't happen. And it's weird, the drugs that they're doing. I wouldn't have known any of these drugs except for all those awful television commercials.
Right.
It's all the drugs you see. Oh yeah, Eliquis. Oh yeah, Xarelto. Oh yeah. This one I haven't heard of. Imbruvica.
Well, these drugs were picked because they are the most prescribed in that system.
Well, a lot of them are diabetes drugs, Crohn's, and Stelara and Novo Nordisk, and
they're chronic disease drugs,
blood thinner kinds of things. Yeah.
They're the kind of things that people need to keep them alive. And I know people that have had to leave this country because they couldn't afford insurance and they could get insulin in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, this is the greatest.
I know. So there was this big story, I think, yesterday about the National Association of Realtors, which is the umbrella organization that I guess nearly every, if you have your home for sale, believe me, it's on their site. I mean, they're the umbrella group. And it says here they control access to nearly every American home listing. Okay. So,
or if you don't use them, they won't list you. I mean, that's, people that are selling home by owner and really doing it by owner, you won't be on that listing and people won't see it. That's how they force you.
Well, the story was not so much about them as about the man who runs it, a guy named Kenny Parcell. And the fact that over the course of, I don't know, the last 10 years, there have been so many complaints, sexual harassment complaints about him by women who work from so many, it's mind blowing. And here's the thing, realtors, stop and think about it.
No, because that is an issue for women realtors. If you don't think that's a dangerous thing for women to do, to meet total strangers in empty houses.
House. Yeah, really. And that's, but of course, most realtors are females. And of course, the people at the top are men.
Are males, yes.
And this guy is, it's just unbelievable. I read the article. I thought, my God, there were so many women who were willing to have their pictures taken, come forward with these stories and how they complained and nothing had happened, or they complained and they'd been fired and this and that. And he's quoted as saying, this is all a pack of lies, blah, 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 blah. Well, I was going to talk about it yesterday, but didn't get around to it. And I was thrilled to see today he's resigned.
Well, good.
You know, sometimes this is where, again, this is how newspapers, how shine a light into these dark places and show what is happening there, and then it gets done. These women tried and tried.
It's not getting done with the head of the Republican National Committee or whatever that is, or CPAC. Who's the guy? He's
there's a CPAC. Yeah, it's CPAC.
Yeah,
and he's I mean, it's just beyond belief that so many.
He's accosting men. He's accosting men. I mean, you know, because, which is, of course, highly ironic in that party. But anyway.
CPAC. Okay, well, there it is.
Yeah, well, good. I'm just thrilled to hear that that the word of 4,000 women finally outweighs the word of one white man.
Yeah. Oh, and believe me, there are plenty of other men around him who, you know, well, all we have done research, and of course we do not, you know, just the usual bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Milton writes, the scene in King's Row, that's the movie I watched with Ronald Reagan in it last night. When Ronald Reagan throws back the bedsheet to reveal his amputated legs was the pinnacle of Ronnie's work as an actor. He really was good in that movie. Every time I see that movie, I think that some long dead thespian momentarily possessed Reagan for the duration of that movie's filming, then quickly disappeared, never to return. Reagan never achieved anything close to the performance he gave in that film. You know, no, I mean, I always, the films I've seen him in, like that, the one about the pitcher that I saw recently, I mean, he's just awful. He's just awful. You can't believe it. But I was blown away by the performance in this movie, King's Row. Amazing. It's a bizarre movie.
Well, you might wonder whether it traumatized him and he couldn't open himself up to acting again because it was such a difficult role to play. You know, if he truly inhabited the role, then it might have affected him negatively such that he literally would not allow himself to ever reach that kind of great acting again.
Well, you might be right. And on the other hand, you're just blowing smoke.
Well, that's absolutely right. I'm thinking. That's what I'm doing.
And you know what's funny is that you're doing that when the movie was in part about recognizing that the mental aspect of health. And it had in it the beginnings of psychiatry. So his best friend becomes like the first psychiatrist and is trying to help him come to terms with this. And it's just bizarre. There's a doctor in it played by Claude Rains who poisons his daughter and then kills himself. And then there's, it's the most bizarre.
It's a movie about trauma. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't strike me as all that far-fetched that he was traumatized by playing the role and never allowed himself to lose himself in a role like that again. He was never the same actor. Couldn't do it.
True.
Yeah.
Damn good in it. I mean, not great, but damn good. I kept thinking, my God. He was young. He was young in it. I don't know when it was made. He was young. And young and handsome. You look at him and you think, my God, man, you're going to be the friggin' president of the United States. Oh, Lord. Okay, we're done.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for helping us on the crypto thing.
Well, that just goes to show you no one understands it.
All right. Okay. All right, Susan. Well, yet again, I can say this almost any day. Safe travels.
Thank you. I'm exhausted.
Well, I bet. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. See you guys tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.